let this thing play out. So our friend yesterday, Bob Thompson, I say friend, former Fox Sports executive who spent a lot of time with us yesterday trying to explain some things. He was asked, and do you have that? I don't know if I sent that one to you. Yeah. So there was Patrick Crakes, who used to also be in sports television broadcasting as far as executive. Forcing CBS to keep the SEC window will cause issues in completing the deal with the Big Ten. This is perhaps an interesting leverage point. ESPN could get the window a year early for free, or maybe even leverage for ESPN to secure some Big Ten content will be interesting. And then Bob Thompson, who we're about to hear from, CBS is paying pittance for that window. I imagine SEC, ESPN would gladly take those games back early. ESPN, ABC will find some place to put them.
Yeah.
Now, I had a chance to visit with Bob Thompson for a little bit today, and I told you I was going to haunt him. I got his number, and so I asked him a little bit, and this is about 5 minutes, Garrett, is that right? This is just a Q&A with him from earlier today with Bob Thompson, former Fox Sports executive.
Yesterday evening, Sports Business Journal reporting that the Big Ten and what they do may not include ESPN at all, like completely out of the mix. Did that surprise you?
Well, it shows you a lot can change in a day, huh? Or in our case, about 4 hours. Yeah, it surprised me a bit. I always thought ESPN would still be in there, but, it's a 40-year partnership that they've had with the Big Ten. So it's a big maneuver. Some of the reporting that's gone down is that they were walked on a $380 million deal for about 13 games, which is significantly more than they paid last time around for 27 games, as well as the package of basketball. So I guess, their allegiance at this point in sort of their primary windows are going to be the SEC and for the foreseeable future until that deals up the Big 12 and Pac-12.
What does that mean, in your opinion? Is that good news for the Big 12 and also possibly the Pac-12?
Absolutely. I think if you always want to have someone on the outside looking in if you're one of the other properties. And right now you've got ESPN on the outside looking in as it relates to what used to be a very big package of college football and basketball for them. So I think it's good news if I'm the Big 12 commissioner and the Pac-12 commissioner.
ESPN, they have all the money now. They have extra money, but they also have content they have to fill. So is that something where they could actually scratch the itch for both those conferences?
It's possible. Absolutely. I mean, they've got ESPN and ESPN2 and ABC, so you've got 3 outlets that theoretically can each air 4 college football games a day if you count on a 10:30 Eastern time window for, say, West Coast games. So that's 12 games a day times 12. That's 144 games a year that they need, and they're not going to get there without having the Big 12 and or some Pac-12 or a combination of both.
Is there a chance that Fox is going to try to see what other money ESPN has left to maybe still get involved?
I would be surprised. It came out yesterday that the announcement yesterday made it sound to me like they were shaking the trees to see if any more ESPN money would fall out. And that would probably came as from a leak from somebody either within the conference or Fox. And then after that, when ESPN responded this morning in the way they did, which said they're dropping out, it sounds to me like it's over and done.
And obviously ESPN would have known about this before it's reported. They know. I mean, they're a part of all this. What do you think the reaction has been inside ESPN?
I think, it's whenever you lose a big property, there's a little bit of shock and it and maybe a little denial. And then it's like, all right, move on. What's next? And, it's nothing personal. The ESPN knows that. The conference knows that. And it's like, okay, we kind of, sweep everything up and put it in the trash and let's get back to business.
Bob Thompson with us, Thompson Sports, Inc., former Fox Sports executive. When ESPN began back in the late 70s, they reported on sports, coverage sports. It was about whatever was the story that was the number 1, 5, or 10 story of the day, highlights, whatever. Do you think all of this change and churning of TV rights, for example, now let's say they don't have the games. Does that change the way they cover the Big Ten on SportsCenter and other game day type opportunities?
I've never really seen that. A lot of people pointed to hockey and said that when ESPN lost to hockey and it went over to NBC, that they never reported on hockey. Well, I never found that to be the case. ESPN went for years without the NBA and reported on the NBA. So, I mean, you can't be a journalistic endeavor and avoid a conference as big and as, year in, year out strong as the Big Ten is. You would look almost foolish.
So now the next move is what you think?
Well, I think that Pac-12, ESPN / Fox and whoever else discussions are gonna pick up pace pretty quickly. I still maintain that the existing members of the Pac-12, if they can get a deal that they deem reasonable, they stay together and nobody's going anywhere. And if I'm the Big 12, I'm watching those discussions closely and, keeping my ear to the ground to see what's going on and then make my moves accordingly. And that may be talking to other schools, or it may be as simple as, all right, we're next up. Let's get our ducks in the row for our TV deal.
What's the definition when you say the Pac-12 is something reasonable? What would reasonable be per school in distribution with the new deal?
Well, a lot of it depends on how many packages they have. Is there a streaming service involved? Things like that. I've got to think they want to get as close to $40 million per school as they can, and then under the anticipation they're going to get a good hit with the new college football playoff. Those numbers would be reasonable. I don't know that they can get there. I think, $35 million per school would be good. The other thing you have to take into consideration is this the opportunity for an Oregon and a Washington to maybe say, all right, we're bringing more value to the conference from a football standpoint than anybody else. We need to create some sort of mechanism whereby if we're the big dog in the show, we get paid a bit more than others.
Isn't that what eventually kind of created so much friction in the Big 12 when Texas, Oklahoma, and others were getting more than others?
Absolutely.
Doesn't that rot? I've heard that, and I understand that, but to me, that just creates friction before you even start something new.
It does, but I think for some of the schools in the Pac-12, if I'm watching Oregon State, I think I go, okay, well, is that better than me getting $8 million a year from the Mountain West Conference?
If the Pac-12 finds that with Oregon and Washington, that they would also give them any kind of an early type of out if they were invited by another conference, or would that completely be a death knell?
That would be tough. If I'm Oregon and Washington, I want to maintain my exclusive or my ability to move either for no exit fee or a minimal exit fee. I can't imagine the conference going forward with Oregon and Washington without some form of grant of rights and some penalty should they move. But I really think Oregon and Washington are going to want to retain that flexibility.
Appreciate you giving us extra time again today, Bob Thompson, Thompson Sports, Inc.
Bob Thompson, Thompson Sports, Inc., and now consultant television. He negotiated 200 different type deals, former Fox Sports executive.